Isn't it interesting that every time we speak, we tend to migrate from one holiday to the next? I don't mean to do that on purpose, it just kind of happened. So allow me to explain to you, to fill you in, what I have been busying myself with for the past month or so. I promise you it is something productive, and as a byproduct of that, extremely stressful. So sit back and relax, grab a cup of joe or whatever you prefer as I rewind back to the beginning of November, where you and I last left off. November was a pretty important month for me, not only because it's one of my favorite months in a year, it has my favorite season, even though in Korea the seasons are just kind of like spring, endless summer, 5 seconds of fall, and then just 20 million years of winter. I was still, looking forward to autumn as short as it was. I was also looking forward to November because it's actually a pretty significant month for me. Last year around this time, well, not this time anymore because we're in December, but let's pretend that if we were still in November, since we're talking about November, it was significant because I started my journey abroad around this time. So I've officially completed my 365 days around the world? No, around the sun from the other side of the world. But then came the question of, well, you completed your yearly contract, so what's next? As for me, currently, my goal is to stay in Korea until I am done paying out my student loans. So I'm still in the process of doing that. Naturally, I started searching for my next job. I didn't want to stay where I was because I wasn't very happy with the location. Most of the activities that I wanted to do was located in Seoul. My commute from the city that I was in, it's a satellite city called Uire, is about an hour. So imagine this, on the weekends, I finally have my days off. I commute 1 hour to wherever I want to be. Whatever passion I had before I started commuting dies by the time I arrive at my location. I just feel physically tired and I don't want to do this anymore. And instead of trying out whatever I want to do in Seoul, I just want to go home and take a nap. Also, wait, no. Furthermore, since we're learning about transition words in class, furthermore, I really wanted a loft. So a loft is almost like a pseudo 2-story apartment. I wanted a loft the moment I came to Korea, but that wasn't really... Hello, Uni. Did you have a good nap? You want to say hi? You want to say hi? Okay, now you're suddenly shy. When I first came to Korea, I've seen other people with loft apartments, and I really enjoy that because usually, since Seoul is so small, it's so dense, the apartments are generally very small, especially studio apartment. That's all we can afford, and usually we just accept whatever the hagwons, the academies offer us. I wanted to divide my workspace and sleep space, but it's hard to do so when your apartment is only so big. In my previous apartment, I had enough room to fit a regular sized table and then Uni's cat tree and then get this, foldable bed. It was like a trifold. Well, I call it a trifold because it reminds me of the science fair trifold posters. But yeah, I had to get like a foldable bed to create more space in my apartment because it was just so crowded. However, I will say, as a trade-off, my apartment was fairly new, so I didn't have any other problems that people usually have, for example, with the plumbing or the heating system or with the cooling system in the summer as well. So I'm very thankful for that. To have that apartment as my first apartment, it will forever live in my heart and serve as a benchmark for wherever apartments, cities that I go to next. A special shout out to Harrington Tower. Thank you for being walking distance away from a mega mall that had Uniqlo, 8 Seconds, Chaju. What else did they have? CGV, ABC Mart, 2 food courts. What else did they have? Cheesecake Factory. It's not really the real Cheesecake Factory, but they were selling Cheesecake Factory branded cheesecakes. For that, I'm forever thankful. You fulfilled all my dreams and aspirations. I would never ever forget about you. Thank you for existing. Goodness, you good? You need to get a booster shot, dude. Back to the drawing board. So I knew I wanted a loft apartment. It wasn't possible with the branch that I was staying with, and I felt pretty comfortable working with this company. Since I'm very familiar with the curriculum, etc., etc., I wanted a job where I don't have to think about work when I get home so that I can work on my own projects. So I decided to look in different branches that are closer to Seoul. So I reached out to the headquarters. I shot them an email, and luckily they responded fairly quickly, and I was able to land a job at a branch closer, a lot closer. I almost said the name of my company. A lot closer to Seoul. So I was very happy. However, there was a problem. That branch is situated in Gangnam. If you're not so familiar with Korea, Gangnam is one of the most expensive area to live in. So I could not find a loft that was within the company's budget. The thing with the new company or the new branch was that I requested for a no housing contract, meaning I would not receive housing provided by them, and I will actually go out and search for an apartment by myself, and then the company sends someone to approve it, and if they think it's okay, they sign the contract. They lend me an amount of money called key deposit. So they put down the key deposit, they create the contract, and then I'm the co-signer on that contract, and then I secure my housing. It sounds fairly simple, right? You go find a housing and then you get it approved and you sign a contract and bam, you are no longer homeless. But in reality, it's a lot more difficult than that, because just like their job market, the housing market in Seoul is crazy. I would find a listing that I love, and then next morning, bam, gone. I I did all that hard work for nothing. So it was just a process of continuously trying to look within Gangnam and then the districts around the Gangnam. So while oh my god, Uni, you can't, oh my god. What have you done, bro? Huh? Now you have to say hi or else I won't let you go. Just say hi. Come on. Uni, have you showered? 냄새. 디스커스팅한 냄새가 디스커스팅한 냄새가 나요. disgusting shit. Oh my god, I have a story about that. Here, Uni, you can go. Be free. Oh, Jesus. Are you okay? Are you okay? Can you meow once if you're okay? Uni meow. Uni meow. She's okay. I'll speak on her behalf. So while I was counting down my days at my previous location, as well as trying to look for an apartment so that I'm not homeless by the end of my last term, I've mentioned before that I've gotten closer to my coworkers, and it seems like we're all on the same frequency. Whatever network that our brain cells are connected to, it's full of bugs and it's very evident. First, I would like to start off by clarifying that I am not an avid TikTok user. All my TikTok knowledge comes from this one friend, and I know you're listening, as well as the Instagram algorithm. Since people like to repost their TikToks onto Instagram Reels, I just see the same content circulating between these two platforms. So I've seen a handful of those popular concepts or themes, whatever you call it. Now, amongst my coworkers, there are two in particular that just share this sibling energy. And one of them will call her J, and one of them will call him M. So J is on her little, on her little chair rolling chair, and she rolls over to M and she goes, "You kind of smell." And then I said, "Like a baka." And then my coworker who was sitting next to me, she goes, "Yereniega." God, we died. We died in the office for at least 5 minutes. That is the most millennial slash Gen Z thing to happen in the office. Okay, I need to tell you, our office layout is like this. Imagine a room split in half. On the left side, you have all the foreign teachers, and on the right side, you have all the Korean teachers. So on our side of the wall, it's just us. So we're dying over here. Meanwhile, on the other side, the Korean staffs were probably like, they're so stupid. What is going on? And this happened more than once, more than I like to admit. It was as if we opened a Pandora box of TikTok memes. We just couldn't stop. And it was always, usually, initiated by the same people, J and M. Their sibling dynamic, chef's kisses. So the other day, J and M were just chilling, prepping for class. And then J looks over to M's shoulder and she goes, "Ah, 냄새." Immediately, in my brain, I have the perfect TikTok. I go, disgusting한 냄새가 나요. Disgusting shit. I'm notorious for saying this, not just amongst my coworkers, but also between my friends as well. I just cannot stop hearing that voice in my brain whenever I hear someone says, 냄새. And let me remind you that this is happening in the office. So our Korean staff are listening. They have ears, right? Even though if they want to listen or not, they hear this conversation. These cringy foreigners mocking TikToks. Maybe they don't even know about this TikTok specifically. It was taken out from a drama. I don't even know the name of drama. But it was moments like these that made me realize that, hey, I might miss this place after I leave. It was already terrifying or nerve-wracking to start at a new location because getting out of your comfort zone, there's going to be a lot of uncertainties waiting for me at this new location. I won't know what kind of students I will be, teaching. I don't have any, what is the word? I don't have any reference to go off from. At the same branch, since I was there for a year, I've seen most of the students aside from new intakes, right? So I have an idea of, I'm going to have this class. I've taught them before for this level, so I know how they behave. I know what to watch out for. It was like I am going to be handed a blank sheet of paper and I have no idea what to mark down. So it was bittersweet counting down my last few weeks at my old branch. At the same time, I was still trying to look for an apartment and I didn't have any luck because the location that I've chosen, either they were out before I was able to show it to the person that was responsible for me in terms of housing at my new location, or it exceeded the budget that they gave me. See, this is where I was confused. No housing contract doesn't limit. In the contract, it doesn't specifically outline that there is a limit of what the monthly rent should be. It just says that they will only provide me X amount of deposit. And what I'm doing is dancing around that deposit money because in Korea, the higher amount of deposit money that you can place down, the lower you have to pay for monthly rent. So the amount of money that they provide is average, mediocre. So that means my monthly rent would be around 600 to 700, depends on how well I want to live or what kind of area I want to be in. As a female, of course, I want to be somewhere safe, and I didn't want to live somewhere that was old because that means I would have a lot of problems. I would have to pay money to fix it, and I would like to not have those issues. I also wanted a loft, and lofts tend to be a little bit more expensive. Around Gangnam, we already established that it's expensive as heck, and all the apartments there were like bird's nests, and the prices were around like 800 and above. So I would show these, or I would show somewhere around 750, 800-ish. I wanted to be below 700 because, I mean, why would I want to pay more for a place when I can save that extra money and pay for student loans, right? I would show those spacious with reasonable price apartments to my housing guy, and he would be like, well, it doesn't fit the requirement. I'm like, what requirement? He said, well, the company isn't really willing to take the risk of you not paying a month worth of loans. So let's say if I decided to be a midnight runner is someone who just packs their bag and goes back to wherever they came from overnight because they're thinking, I'm done, I'm not doing this anymore. They are trying to prevent, or they're trying to prepare for situations like those to cover my rent, and they refuse to cover any rent that is above 750, including maintenance fee. So maintenance fee is like electricity, what else? Trash, disposal, excluding utilities. So that puts me at a very hard place. I cannot find a place near Gangnam that, one, has a reasonable price, has a reasonable size, and is also a loft. And I didn't want to compromise where I live for this upcoming year because I've decided that 2021 was me acclimating to living in Korea. 2022 was about me thriving. So maybe not at work. I just want to be a responsible worker at work. But I want to dedicate more time to my content. I want to dedicate more time to myself so that I can make Seoul feel like home to me, or a little bit like home, a little bit more like home to myself. And I think living space is very important because I spend most of my time there, or that is my space. And I really wanted to decorate my space this time rather than last time. In my last apartment, the only furniture I had was that table and a desk chair and Uni's cat tower, but that's like not mine. I'm not using her cat tower, so I can't even count that as my furniture. I wanted to establish a place that feels like me, where I'm comfortable and I'm motivated to do what I want to do. So I wasn't going to back down in terms of housing. Now, if I can't find it around Gangnam, what do? Well, I have to expand my perimeter. And eventually, Taro and I both came across the same listing. That is an hour away from my location, from my new workplace. And I thought about this. I'm like, do I really want to commute 2 hours each day after like 6-hour classes? I don't know, dude. I don't know. But at the same time, I was so desperate. I was about 1 week away from starting at my new place, and I was still homeless. So I decided to, take a leap of faith. I sent the link of this listing to my housing guy, and I say, hey, I found this place. Do you think it's legit? Because sometimes places would post fake listing to attract you to visit their office, and then when you show up, you realize, so you mean to tell me that you took photos with the freaking ultra wide angle lens to make the place look humongous, and then when I show up, it's yet again another bird nest? They like to do that a lot. So I asked for the housing guy's opinion, and he said, well, it looks kind of legit, but it's pretty far away, so I won't be able to go with you. You're free to go visit yourself and let me know if you have any problems. And if you're ready to sign, just give me a call. I'll talk to the realtor. So I was like, all right. So that Saturday, I commuted to an apartment that is closer to freaking Gimpo Airport than my than my new job. So I came to this place. I looked around with Taro, and surprisingly, I freaking loved this place. It was built last year, so extremely new. I loved everything in here, the interior, the design, everything was furnished. I have my washer, I have a built-in, what is it? Refrigerator. My shower space was twice the size of my previous apartment. The loft was great, the stairs was great. I loved everything. And I thought, is this it? Like, is this where I'm gonna settle down for at least the upcoming year in my life? And I thought about the commute. I won't sugarcoat it. It's exhausting trying to hop on and switch between different transportations after a long day of work. I'm so used to just being able to bike home or walk home with my colleagues to my apartment. This felt like a new challenge. It seems very daunting. But if I had to choose between living somewhere that is a walking distance to my work, but just no space to breathe, or a place that I genuinely love, but with a farther commute, I would choose the latter, and that's what I did. So the day that I visited this apartment, I decided to send a text to my housing guy and I said, hey, I think this is the place I want to sign with them. So he said, okay, just give me the realtor's phone number. I'll give her a call and get the process started. And within a week, I moved in. So I moved in on a Friday, on a work day. Oh my God, I can't begin to tell you how stressful that was. So I had movers scheduled at 8 or 9. I don't remember 8 or 9. We decided to go with the cheaper route. So generally, when you schedule movers, you just pack up everything and everyone else move it for you, right? But we were on a slightly tighter budget. Taro and I decided to carpool. That's right, carpool. We're going to move together. We're not staying together, but we're going to use the same mover. And to save money, we decided to pick the options where we move everything and then they just transport us to whatever locations that we're going to next. So my stop was the first stop because my place was the furthest. And we just haul ass everything downstairs. I live on the 3rd floor, so thankfully it's not so bad. But we had to move all of our boxes and Uni's cat tree. I cry. I have tears. But we moved everything. We were exhausted. Then we hop onto the truck and then it takes like an hour to get to my place. So 1 hour later, we're looking at 10 a.m., 10 in the morning. I had to be at work at 1 p.m. Now you may be thinking, why are you so crazy thinking about moving on a work day? Why can't you just do it on a Saturday? Well, Saturday was the day that I'm scheduled to be moved out of my apartment because my replacement is moving in at noon. So I have to be out from my place at 10. And I just imagine all the chaos that would be moving out of my place at 10, checking into my new company at 2. I'm like, I'm not so good at math. I've done calculus, but it seems like a really tight schedule. I don't think I could make it. I could meet both ends with an ample amount of time to spare. So that's why I decided to move on a work day. I decided to do that to myself. Also, if I was moving on Saturday, I run into another problem. I was going to move Uni with me on Saturday, but then she would be left alone for a period of time. And moving is very stressful for animals, so I didn't want her to be alone. If I moved on Friday, Taro would be able to spend time with her so that she's not having a nervous breakdown by herself. So after careful consideration, that is why I decided to bring the chaos that is moving on Friday onto myself. So back to where we are, 10 a.m. I'm at my new place. Taro and I quickly move all of my boxes and Uni's cat tree up to my room, and then I'm left here to unpack the necessities for Uni. Just set up her litter box, the food, the water, and then I have to immediately hop on to public transportation to get home. And I realized at that time, bam, we hit traffic. If I take public transportation, I would not make it back to work on time. Commuting from my new apartment to my old place takes about an hour and 50 minutes, so almost 2 hours. It's 11. 11 plus 2 doesn't equal the time that I wanted to equal to. So I decided there's no other choice. I have to take a taxi. If I take a taxi, it takes about an hour to get to my previous workplace. So I said, you know what, let's suck it up. Let's pay this $40 and call it a day. So I hop on a taxi and immediately I fell asleep. I woke up 30 minutes later and I was like, what time is it? Where am I? Okay, I'm on time. This is okay. I ended up arriving at 12:30. So I bought food because I didn't eat anything that day and it was going to be a long day. I bought food, I bought some dumplings, and then I went to work. And they were like, Julie, you look so tired. What's going on? I'm like, well, I just moved out of my apartment this morning. They're like, what? Why'd you do that? I'm like, I did it for my gato. I didn't want my cat to be alone, and I want to minimize the amount of trouble I have to face tomorrow. And that is why I decided to move today. That day, we ended up having Zoom classes, and you would think that I prefer that. Usually, generally, I would, but it was my last day, so I bought like small snacks to give to my students because I wanted to say goodbye to them. I ended up not being able to do that, so it was kind of sad. Instead, I asked over Zoom, when the class was ending, I asked them, hey, today is my last day. Next week, you'll be getting a new teacher, and I will be no longer teaching at this branch, so I won't see you here anymore. But if I ever see you in Seoul, I hope that, we can say hi to each other. And if you don't mind, may I get a picture with you all? And then they all said yes. So I took pictures with all my classes except my demon class. I have no love for my demon class. Some kids are angels and some kids, I question where they came from. Anyways, I took pictures with all my classes, and one of my classes specifically, they are so cute. I like to use the angry Italian hand gesture, not on purpose. I don't know how it happened. But I started using that gesture in class. So when we were taking pictures, they were all just doing that gesture. And it made me smile. And I almost legit cried on camera. I was like, these kids are so precious. I'm so proud of you all. But I didn't. I had to stay composed and finish my day because after I returned home, my job is not finished yet. I have to clean my apartment. And then, when did I go back to my place, my new place? I remember I cleaned until like 3 or 4. Taro rented a car and he came to pick me up from my old apartment because at that time, there's really no transportation and it's kind of dangerous. So we decided to rent a car. He picked me up and then I slept at my new apartment that night. And then Saturday, I went and checked in with my new company. Even though I had kind of a rough start in the beginning, I slowly acclimated to my new workplace. It was very different than what I was used to. The difference between where I was and where I am now, before it was a franchise, why did I say it like that? Franchise branch, which means someone bought the curriculums and they're running the way that they wanted to. Now I'm at one of the headquarter branch, so everything is very much structured the way the headquarter wants it to be. So it's a lot more strict and firm, but also a lot more organized as well. They have double the staff that we had at my previous branch. So I ended up not needing to do a lot of pointless work or admin work that I had to do when I was in Uire. Uni, you cannot drink dishwater, okay? I give you nice filtered water. Why don't you drink that? Okay, go drink your H2O somewhere else. Go. Be gone. But not too far away because I would like to pet you occasionally. Because of those changes, I was able to just focus on teaching. All I have to worry about is teaching. I don't have to worry about making copies of paperwork or books or PDFs because that has been taken care of. It was like there was a genie and the genies, genii? What is a genie? The genies have already, thought about what I may encounter in class, what kind of issues, what kind of technical problems. They just provide me with everything. All I need to do is show up, work, and clock out. Legit. I don't even have to be at work from 1 to 10 now. I just show up when I teach. So I show up latest 3:30 and I teach if I have two classes in one evening, then I teach all the way till 10. If not, I leave at 7. I would never be able to do that at my old place. So this is a newfound freedom. However, it does have its drawback because I do work on Saturday for this term. I work on Saturday from 9:30 to like 12. And occasionally I will have to do speaking test, but it's still better than what I had before. I have more time. Well, ideally I have more time, but you need to take into the factor that I have to commute for 2 hours now. So if we take 2 hours out from that, maybe I don't have as much time as I would prefer, but I have a bomb apartment that I love. I pour my heart and soul into trying to decorate this place. I bought a table, I bought a chair, a bright neon orange chair. Yes, I know the color is questionable, but orange is my favorite color, and I wanted to implement that at my new place, so that's what I did. I built a lot of stuff from IKEA, like a small cabinet. I also wanted to get another type of, I don't know how to describe it. It's like glass panel cabinets? No, not a cabinet. If I find out what the English translation is, I will let you know. But there's a few more furnitures I want to buy for this place. I also need to buy a lot more bowls. I currently have one bowl. It's pretty sad, but I got myself a Cuisinart. Is it Cuisinart? 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 I don't know the correct pronunciation of it because I'm not a chef. I'm not very good at cooking. But I saw this compact air fryer oven toaster online. And its form factor is very compact, so I love it. It fits well in this Korean apartment aesthetic. And today I tried to make some pizza and what else did I make? Dumplings in that air fryer. Oh my god. It is a godsend invention. It minimizes the amount of time I need to spend feeding myself and maximize the amount of free time I have at home. I love everything about this toaster. I know it's been less than 24 hours, but I'm going to praise the death out of it. So much so, immediately, right after I got out of class today at 7, I went to Daiso. Daiso is like their Five Below. Usually it's not $5 for everything, but just think about the concept of Five Below or Home Plus. Wait, Home Plus is Korean, right? Just think about, just stay with the idea of Five Below. I went there, I bought a bunch of parchment paper, Ziploc bags, just everything I need to prepare for a life of having an air fryer in my household. I feel like such an adult you don't understand. Speaking of making adult decisions, on Milk Tea's birthday, so Milk Tea, milk, Milk Tea's birthday, I decided to finally commit to one of my bucket lists. I wanted to dye my hair, not just any color, but I wanted to dye it milk tea color, a milk tea gray. It's like a ash beige, ash brown. It's hard to describe the color because there are different interpretations of what milk tea hair color is, but it's sort of an ash shade. So I booked an appointment with a salon that didn't speak English, so I was kind of afraid. I used to go to a hairstylist. No, she's not really a hairstylist, a hair shop that spoke English, but the skill was like meh, but I also didn't really care about my hair. I don't really style it, I just let it do its thing. But this time I thought, you know what? Since we're doing this, let's do it right. I booked it through Kakao Hair Shop, and Kakao is one of the dominating social media platforms here in Korea. And because it was holiday season, they offer some sort of a discount, and they had this ranking system for the hair shops. I decided to go with one that had lots of good review. And then when you go to the review page, it actually shows you how many times this person visited the hair shop. And I kept seeing people coming back to this shop. So I thought, I don't speak Korean, but I mean, the skills are universal. So let me just go with this. So the day of, it was November 12th. That was the day that I adopted milk tea. And actually it was November 13th here in Korea. So November 12th in the States. Same thing, we're fine. I asked Taro to tag along with me. I didn't want to have any miscommunication between the hair colorist and I. Since this will be my first big hair transformation, I just wanted to get it right. Right? So I had some reference photos that I sent to her, and once we got to the shop, she just confirmed what I wanted, and then we just started bleaching my hair away. I had virgin hair, so it took 2 bleaches to get the color, to get my brown color completely out of the way. And at that time, I think I looked like an orange or a sugar cane, if you know what a sugar cane is. And I thought, oh, you know what? Actually, blonde doesn't look bad on me, but I don't want to maintain that hair color. So I just asked her if I may take a photo of my hair while it was blonde. And then we started to apply the ash blonde, ash gray color onto my hair. Unfortunately, and fortunately, my hair grows very fast. So it is currently, let's see, December 15th. And my roots are already growing out. And the ash color faded, I think, after a week. Because it's just a color that fades away really quickly and it requires a lot of maintenance. I wasn't going to just re-dye it right away because I was like, well, there's still some color here. I'll just live with this for the time being. And then once my roots just take over the top of my head, like that one character from Haikyuu, I would just go dye it maybe a light caramel color, something that is less dramatic than an ash blonde. They said I look like a baddie. I look like an ABG. This is the most ABG I'll ever be in my entire life. Just let me have this moment. I'll just write it out, and then probably in January I'll dye it again. So yeah, that's what has been happening in my life while I was MIA. Just busy trying to find a new place, dyeing my hair, starting at my new job, adjusting, and also informing my family of my current state of health, well-being, welfare. It didn't end so well, and I will talk about it in my next podcast. But I didn't tell my parents I had a cat until recently when they FaceTimed me. And the reaction, I tell you, is priceless. Priceless. Thank you all for listening to the 50th episode of Lactose Intolerant. To be honest, I didn't even realize that this was going to be the 50th podcast. I guess there's just something magical about arriving at places that you don't expect to be. And it truly shows, especially through this year's podcaster wrap of the year. I don't remember what is the exact title of it, but if you're a Spotify listener, at the end of the year, they always wrap up your top songs of the year and present it to you and show you the analytics of what genres have you listened to, which artist was your favorite, which song you play the most. I got one for lactose intolerant too. I mean, I didn't know because this was my first year being a podcaster, but I've seen some very interesting data and I was just truly so mind blown. According to the data I received from Anchor, which is the distributor I'm currently with, they're the podcast platform sponsored by Spotify. I've published 32 episodes out of 49 with them, and within those episodes, I was able to reach 21 countries. I don't know how on earth people have reached my podcast and whether they've listened to 5 minutes or 1 minute or 10 seconds. Even clicking on my podcast, I truly appreciate you just giving it a shot, even though it may be short-lived. I appreciate you tapping into a fragment of my life. And if you're a long-time listener, I'm pretty sure you've witnessed me just seeing my brain cells deteriorating from day one. And I am surprised and also glad that you're still with me until this day. This podcast started as just a wild idea of a way to commemorate the feeling that I had when I spent time with Milk Tea, when I had him by my side and just he was the rock that I relied on a lot. And now that I have different people to lean on, it's slowly becoming a forgotten place. And I'm glad that this podcast serves as a portal for me to retain that connection. Even though I'm pretty sure he's not listening. He rarely listens to me. Whenever I sing to him, he turns away. But I miss him. And I'm glad that this is a way that I could express that sense of longing through just sharing the mundanities in my life to whoever is listening. Although I've slacked off the past weeks or so, I do plan on hopping back on this productive way of keeping track of my life. Some days when I am feeling down or confused or alone, I would actually listen to some episodes that brought me joy. It's a gift for my future self as well. So if you're thinking about recording and starting a podcast, just go for it. If you have a mic, you have a computer. If not, you can even just use your phone. You can just use the Anchor app. This is not an ad. You can just use the Anchor app and record your podcast there and then elevate your style, elevate your setup later down the road. That is not your main concern. The main concern is to just start and create a habit of recording and talking about whatever topic you want to talk about or the simple moments in life. There's always beauty hidden beneath every second that we spent with the people that we love or just with ourselves as well. I need to wrap up this podcast because at this point it's getting real thick, like a grandma's gimbap roll. And I don't mean to overstuff you before your Christmas dinner. So I'm just going to stop right here and wish you a beautiful week ahead. You will hear from me once more before you hear freaking Jingle Bell on the reindeers. So I will wish you a Merry Christmas then instead of now. Stay safe. The COVID cases have been rising in South Korea, and I'm sure it's also rising in the rest of the world as well. We have been urged to take booster shots if it's available to you and you're in good shape to accept another dose of the vaccine. You should take it to protect yourself as well as your loved one. So until then, I will see you next week. Promise, I'll see you next week. Stay safe. Bye.